Hello everyone, it's Carol here from the Crafty Emporium. Busy desk today. Alright, so a couple of weeks ago I did a live on the Sunday and I showed how to make all of these different types of pieces of ephemera with one of my new digital kits. Can you guess what the subject matter was? Bet you can't guess. Something to do with butterflies, I think. But yeah, I showed how to make, I think, the majority of all of this. And I want to make a journal with it. Now, on the back of that, I want to do a little mini-series, which I'm starting with this particular one, on paper bags. So I'm going to put these to one side for now. Now, before I go on to the paper bags, I just want to show you quickly. I've just made up a very quick signature, but otherwise it's just a very basic, thrown together, as you do, coffee dyed and printed papers, right? So it's not got many pages in it at the moment, but it was the start of the journal, all right? So that's my signature that I'm going to be working in. Now, I've also got this, and I'll fold it back up as it was. I received a parcel from Amazon in this envelope. Now, I've tried looking for it online. Can I find it? Can I heck? So, if anyone knows where I can get these from, it's a paper padded mailer, all right? I've tried all the different combinations, the M2, the EO3, paper padded mailer, there's no recyclable. This address down here, the Amazon.com, this mailer is about information about how they're going to go into recycling, recyclable mailers. But when I took it apart, it has that lovely crinkly sound to it that we all love. And what it is it's brown craft paper, but inside, instead of having the plastic bubbles, it's got paper padding just dotted about inside. But I'm going to cut this in half, and then I'm going to use this half here as my cover, so that you've got a nice crinkly sounding cover. So that's what my signature will end up going in. I shall no doubt come back to this in a later video. But what I want to cover first of all is paper bags. All right, now as I say, I'm going to do a little mini series almost on paper bags and different ways in which you can make them, decorate them, and all the rest of it. Today, it's about the printed paper bag, so those that you already buy, okay? And they come in a variety of different shapes and sizes and patterns and colours. Now, one of the questions I was asked, because I do a pop-up shop on my Facebook group, was could you get any pretty paper bags? Yeah. They're hard to come by. You tend to get spots and stripes are really easy to find, and then you get this sort of paper bag, all right? But I'm going to come on to how you can make pretty paper bags in a different video, all right? So watch out for that. So, the paper bag. We love them because they've got that lovely crinkly sound to them again, a little bit like that padded envelope. And we can use them in a variety of different ways, all right? So this one, if I get my signature out to show you, that one, it fits the height of my signature perfectly. So what I would do with this one is I would actually fold it in half. Now the seam's on the back and it's plain. So I'm going to fold it so that the seam and the plain part is on the inside of the fold, all right? And then that will go into my signature like this, so that it makes me a really nice long pocket, right? So that's number one. Of course, the other way of doing it is with our paper bags, is actually folding them in half this way and putting them into our signature so that they sit like that. so that you end up with a nice pocket here to be able to put some journaling cards in. The only problem with it is that you end up having to cut off this edge here to be able to access the bag from this end, so that you've got a pocket on this side as well. All right, now I'm not going to use this one because it's totally the wrong pattern for this particular journal, but that's another way of doing it. Another way of doing it, and this paper bag is definitely too big for this journal unless I fold it this way, but for the example that I want to show you is to do it as a loaded pocket bag, right? In which case then you fold up the bottom. Now, as I said, the front of the bag is nice and plain. The back of the bag has got the seam on it where the paper overlaps, and the seam on the bottom here. So you could fold it up seam on the seam side, or you fold it up on the front and then you have this seam showing unless you decorate it. All right, and what you end up doing is you then end up sticking that down by placing glue on the inside here and here, and you've got a pocket there and a pocket there. Or you could cut this bottom edge open, fold it over, and then you've got a pocket from the inside of the bag, the pocket where you folded it over, and the pocket in the bag itself. And then if you glue this to your signature just on the back side, down here, and across the bottom, but on the back side you've then got a pocket behind the bag as well, and that's why they're called loaded pockets, because you can just load them up totally with tons and tons of stuff. All right, of course we've got glassine bags as well. They're slightly more expensive than paper bags, but in this particular journal I'm going to be using this one and this one, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to decorate them up so that they go into my journal really nicely. Now at the moment my journal is very brown and plain, and the other pieces of ephemera that I've already made, if I get one out to show you, goes along the greens and golds tones, which is why I'm using these two paper bags, because of the gold tones within them. All right, so it'll start to come alive. So at the moment this looks a little bit dark and boring, but by the time you start adding all these pieces of ephemera in, things like the paper bags, and decorate them up and start to add colour to it, it actually starts to come alive and doesn't look as dull and boring. So let's crack on and do a little bit of decorating on these bags. First thing that I want to do is I want to cut this end off here to be able to open up the bag. Now I could just trim a really thin sliver. I always say that, slither, when I mean sliver of paper. It's me trying to be posh. A real thin strip off this edge off here. Now, as I said before, this is where that seam is, where it's folded over. I could trim all of that off, and then I don't get to see any of that rough edge there. I'm not bothered about that. So I'm going to do my thin strip just off the edge to just open the bag up so that it can be accessed from both ends. See, I can get in from both ends now, and then I'm going to fold it in half. And now I know what surface area I've got to work with here. Now, paper bags are quite thin paper, so there's only so much decoration you can do on them before it starts to become too heavy for it, and it can easily rip it and distort the paper and stuff. But so what I'm going to do is just on this edge here, I'm going to put some washi tape on. I might actually leave that and decorate it up first, and then decide which one I'm going to use, and the same on this side. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use my favourite word of Rachel's. I'm going to audition some pieces, and I've already done this beforehand so that I've got a bit of a rough idea what I'm going to do. And I've used some of the Tim Holtz ephemera pieces, and these two were from one of the flower packs. So I thought about using one of those on the front. And then this one was out of the vellum pack, and there's these 2 cards in here, so I thought about adding those on so that they're an extra little bit of texture. So that's card, that's vellum, and then from the digital kit I thought about cutting out this butterfly and just putting some dimensionals on the back and hovering it. So if I think that that's going to be, let's just roughly cut this out for now. So have a little play, line it up so that you can get an idea of what it's going to look like, and then don't want that gold on. I think that the black might be a touch too dramatic, but I could put the gold on, or I've got some book paper here, so I could rip down a strip off there and put a strip of that on. Let's do that and see what that looks like. So instead of the washi tape, I could just use this paper instead. Let's just do a thin strip quite like that, so that would go underneath. It'll go underneath, come on. So it gives the edge of the paper bag a bit of extra support. Yeah, I quite like that. I'm going to do something to a very similar ilk to what I'm putting on the front. So again, it's one of the Tim Holtz ephemera pieces, and then one of the cards, the vellum cards. And again, I'm going to cut out one of these butterflies, and then I could sit in a slightly different position. I might even put 2. I might even be really daredevil and put 2 on. Living dangerously, because those are quite big flowers. Yeah, I think that looked good with 2 on. And then I'll do another strip of paper to go along this edge underneath all of that. Okay, I'm going to go off and fussy cut and ink up all of these separate little pieces. That's all my pieces now ready, so I'm going to start gluing it all into place. So, want some glue on the back of this paper strip because I want that on first. Let's see how long I want it. To about there. Unfortunately, we're getting to that time of year. We're starting to kind of get that wintry sun, and it creates lots of shadows, I'm afraid. I'm going to have to see about getting a special lamp. Ooh, like that bit of glue off there. And make sure that you don't cut into your paper bag as well. And then this one, just realign them again, and yeah, slight angle. You see, now I could have showed you all the pieces that I tried beforehand that didn't work, but we would have been here all day. So it really is just a case of trying all the different little bits and pieces that you've got, either ephemera that you've purchased or ephemeras that you've cut out from magazines and stuff, or images that you've cut out, and just arranging them until you're happy with the layout of them all. So it's a slight angle for that, and then I want a little bit of glue top and bottom. I'm going to put this all over. And then that will sit on a square. And then I've already put my dimensionals on the back of the butterfly and peeled the backing off, so I'm just going to put a little tiny dot of glue on because they're starting to lose their sticky a little bit. And then that little butterfly can sit on there. So that's what that one looks like. And then if we flip it over, okay, now then, do I want the flowers on the text and then the card that way, or do I want the card over there and then the flower over there? It's even that, look, major decision. I think we'll have it that way around because of having a butterfly there and there. Okay. And the thing is, unless you have the courage to just give it a go, you're not going to know, are you? The amount of people that I get sort of commenting and messaging me going, oh, I could never do it as good as you. Yes, you can. If you haven't had a go, you don't know, do you? It's only by playing and allowing yourself the fact that you might do it a little bit wrong that eventually you'll get it right. But until you do it, you ain't got a clue. You're guessing, second guessing yourself. So glue just top and bottom. Thing is, I don't want it too close to this fold area here because that's going to be stitched into the signature. So I might sit it about there. And then, ooh, sticking to my fingers now. I think I'll have that one there. And then this one can go over there. And that's what that one looks like. Now, you may have noticed that I only glued this down top and bottom. Let me just get a piece of scrap paper. Too big. Let's just chop this down. Because you could use a piece of coffee dyed paper and just slip it underneath there. So it also now becomes a little bit of a secret, almost, tuck spot. Although it's vellum and you can see through it, but you get the gist of what I mean. So that you could tuck something underneath there. And the same on the front as well. Just tuck something through there. I've also decided on this piece that I'm going to add some lace on the bottom. Now, I'm not going to add it on the front of the bag. I'm actually going to open it up and put it on the inside part here so that it hangs below on the outside. But it also means then that the inside is slightly decorated as well. And I can rip out some, it's just, I could rip out a piece of paper, journal on that, and then that can go on there. And it's pretty because it's got the lace on it. So it's added a little bit of decoration to the inside as well. So let's get my Fabri-Tac out. Cut that to the right length. Add some glue across the bottom. Because remember as well, I don't want it too heavy. Because as I said before, paper bags are not the strongest of papers to decorate. Or to overly decorate, I should say. Okay, sit that on there. The other thing I thought I might add is I've got this lovely tanny gold rickrack. So I thought I would add that on top as well. Just to add a little bit of extra colour. So again, we'll use the Fabri-Tac. I'm just putting it along the top edge of the lace. And then that can sit on top. Also my fingers, whichever you prefer, Mr. Rick Rack. And then I'm just going to have to wait a little bit for that to dry before I show you what the outside looks like, because otherwise it'll end up sticking together. Back in a second. That's now nice and dry, so I can fold that up and you can see what it looks like now with the lace just hanging down at the bottom. And then in my signature, I'm going to place it in there. It'll look like that in my signature, and then obviously I can then put some journaling cards inside of that paper bag at that side and also at that side. Really pretty, liking that. Woohoo! Okay, let's go on to the next paper bag. So with this long paper bag, I'm not actually going to do too much to it because not everything has to be massively decorated. So I'm going to do something really simple with it. So I've got this really pretty lace. I don't know if you can see that. And it's got like, you can either say that they're dragonflies or butterflies. I think they look like butterflies. Or I've got this fringed lace. So one's white, one's cream. I think I might go with the cream one, and I'm just going to add a long strip of it on each edge. Now once it's glued and the glue has dried, I could then take it to the sewing machine. Perhaps let's open it up. I could take it to the sewing machine and sew it in place as well, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't have to make that decision right now. It will close the bag down a little bit, as in the width that's available. So trim off the excess on that. And then put a piece along the other edge. Because the other thing I think as well when you're decorating up a journal is if you go hell for leather and decorate everything up to the nth degree, when it actually comes to writing in and using the journal, you've then got nothing left to do. And what you've actually put in situ already might not be relevant to what you're writing about. So sometimes I think it's better to just leave a little bit of what I would consider to be like blank space, so that then when you come to write about something, you've got enough space then to add a picture or a piece of writing paper that becomes relevant to what you're writing about. Okay, so basically I'm leaving that as it is. As I say, I might stitch it in place. Now the other thing that I've done is I've cut 2 strips of card from the digital kit, from the butterfly digital kit, and I'm going to add those inside the pocket. Now as you can see, they want trimming down a little, so let's just take a little extra off. The other thing I see quite a lot as well is when people do like photo mounts type, you know, the big sheets of card that slip inside of a pocket and they struggle to get it in. 2 tips for that. One is to round the corners, because it's trying to get that right angle in that juts up against the edge of something and prevents it from going in. It's either that or it's a bit too big. So you want something that's going to slide in and out easily. So cut it down just fractionally smaller and round the corners, and you'll find that it'll go in and out of the pocket a lot easier. So there you go, look, that slips in there nicely. And as I say, I would round these corners off as well, so that these corners don't get snagged on the page, or on the bag I should say. Okay, trim a bit off that one. And then with my strips of scrappy coffee dyed papers, let's get 1, 2, 3, let's just get 4. We'll use 4 on each one, I think. I'm just going to staple them at the top. Trim them down to size. Save those for something else. And then I've got my punch tabs. So these are some of the things that I like to mass make in advance. And then I can choose one that's going to go best at the top. I've got a choice then. Okay, I think I quite like that one and that one. And again, it's another good way of getting rid of your scraps. Okay, so fold that up. Ink it up. And then I can glue these, excuse me, over the top where the staple is. And that just hides that staple. So that's those ready. And then in my signature, I'm going to put this here. So it goes nicely with this paper on the back. And then I can put my little notebooks in those pockets. I've got writing space here. And then I've got another little notebook then in the back. So that will be there. And then the other paper bag is there. Just got one more idea for the paper bags. My last idea for the printed paper bags is there's an awful lot of writing space on a paper bag. And if you cut off the sides, just trim off a really thin strip on both sides. You can then open it out and you've got a really big long piece of paper. Put it in your signature. And then you can either fold that over, stick it down and make a pocket, or just leave it folded over, that you can then open that out and write on the inside of the bag. And the same on this side, so you could do a pocket on one side, you could leave it loose on the other side, and you've got that nice crinkly sounding paper again, but you've also now got lots of writing space as well. So that was just another idea with the paper bags. So that's just a couple of ideas for paper bags. I hope it's whet your appetite a little, and given you a little bit of thought process for you. And I'll see you in the next video where I come up with some different ideas for some different paper bags. Bye for now.